The Magic of Norumbega by Lena Kuttner. Read by Lena Kuttner. Chapter 1. Music in Dog Park. Every day, dogs from all over town gathered in Dog Park to play. They spent their time running and swimming, chasing each other, barking at geese, wrestling, and rolling in the smelliest mud they could find. All except Getty. She preferred to dance. "Can't you hear the music?" she asked the other dogs. "Can't any of you hear it?" The dogs shook their head or shrugged or snickered and rolled their eyes. "All we hear are ordinary park sounds," her friend Murphy informed her for at least the 100th time. "There isn't any music here. You don't see anyone else dancing, do you?" she added. Getty knew the other dogs were wrong. There was music in Dog Park. Sometimes she barely noticed it, but other times it followed her from one end of the park to the other. She heard songs in the breezes that whistled through the tree branches. She felt rhythms pulsing over the field where she chomped on dandelion patches. Harmonies drifted in the river, and Getty tried to imagine the instruments that could have produced those sounds. She would cock her head and lift her ears and listen as hard as she could to faraway bits of melody swirling through the air. She could hear the music everywhere in Dog Park, but no matter how much she searched, she couldn't find its source anywhere. It was everywhere and no one else could hear it. What was she supposed to think? It was obvious to her that this music was magical. One morning, Getty came across Murphy foraging in the field for a stick to chew. They kept each other company for a while until Murphy said, "Could you please stop twirling? You're making me dizzy." "But I'm dancing to the music," Getty replied in a sing-song voice, swiping Murphy's face with her bushy red tail as she spun. Murphy snorted. "I'm getting a little tired of hearing you talk about the music. It makes you sound so strange. Magical music, or is it musical magic? I can't keep it straight." Getty thought it shouldn't be so hard to keep a small but important detail like that straight. "Well, I'm not crazy, and I'm not making it up," she declared firmly. Instead of arguing, Murphy bounced against Getty and knocked her down. Tufts of Getty's long copper-colored fur and Murphy's short mustard-colored fur flew through the air as the dogs rolled together playfully in the grass. When they stopped to take a breath, Murphy stood up and said, "I love you, Getty. You're my best friend. I just wish you'd daydream less and play with me more." "I love you right back," Getty answered, "but I wish you believed in the magic." Murphy turned away, shaking her head in bewilderment, and ran off to the other side of the field. Barely noticing that she had left, Getty continued to twirl. She danced until the music faded away. Then she remembered to look for Murphy, and spotted her standing alone, listlessly sniffing a bush. She bounded over to her friend and asked, "Are you mad at me?" Murphy grunted without looking up. "I'm sorry," Getty said. "I know you just wanted to play with me." She sprang into action, hoping to make things right between them. She found a thick, sturdy stick and waved it in front of Murphy's nose, saying, "This is for you. It'll be perfect for chewing." Murphy accepted the stick from Getty, but instead of gnawing on it, she shouted, "Tug of war!" The two friends raced down the hill to the river, their long legs nimbly leaping over tree roots and rocks, wrestling the stick between them. Just as they approached the river bank, Getty again noticed the faint sound of music rippling over the water. Her ears began to flutter, and a swarm of shivers traveled from her nose to her feet. She couldn't stop herself from dropping her end of the stick. "Do you hear that?" she asked breathlessly. "Nope," was Murphy's muffled reply, her mouth still clamped onto the other end of the stick. She used it to nudge Getty lightly in the shoulder. "We're in the middle of a game, remember?" "Listen, Murphy," Getty insisted. "If you listen harder, maybe you can hear it this time." As soon as Getty finished speaking, she could see that Murphy had finally run out of patience. Her friend's tail stiffened, and her ears folded back as she tossed the stick away. Getty braced herself for Murphy's sharp retort, but before another word could be uttered, a croaky voice interrupted. I can hear it. I never knew dogs can hear the music, but frogs can. Well, not all frogs can hear it, but I can. Geddy and Murphy stared with surprise at a small frog sitting on a lily pad. Dogs and frogs are not particularly fond of each other and don't converse very often. It sounds like this, right? The frog asked. He opened his mouth wide while his throat bulged like a small balloon. And this is the sound that came out of him. Croak, 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 croak. Is he singing? Geddy whispered to Murphy. Make him stop, please, Murphy whined, her nose wrinkling and her tail drooping between her legs. The frog grimaced back at her and croaked even louder. Frog, hey, Frog, where is that music coming from? Geddy shouted over the noise he was making. The frog stopped singing. From Norumbega, he answered matter-of-factly. Where's Norumbega? Asked Geddy. At the same time Murphy asked, What's a Moringiba? Well, why should I tell you? I won't tell you, he said, acting like a typical frog. But when he saw the disappointed look on Geddy's face, his attitude softened. I suppose I could tell you how to find out for yourself, the ornery creature finally said. But don't come crying to me when things go badly. He sighed deeply, but continued. There are magic words that will take you to Norumbega. Repeat the same words when you're ready to come back, and the rhyme will bring you home. Geddy was fascinated, and her attention was focused on everything the frog was saying, but Murphy seemed simply annoyed by his foolishness. Why waste your time with a frog? She whispered in Geddy's ear. Just remember, the frog sternly warned, ignoring Murphy. Don't let Cushman catch you. The magic only works if you're free to leave. If he captures you, you'll belong to him, and the words will be useless. Who's Cushman? Geddy asked, completely confused. Find out for yourself, the frog snapped. He hesitated, and Geddy was sure he had changed his mind again. Please, she pleaded, while Murphy lay down and indifferently began cleaning her paws with her coarse tongue. I just need to know, Geddy said, hoping the frog would understand. Relax, I'm getting around to it. The first thing you need to do is to close your eyes and concentrate hard, the frog said. Now listen carefully, because I'm only going to say the words once. Then he tightly squeezed his eyelids together and slowly began reciting a poem in his low, raspy voice. To Norumbega, in times long past, where memories made will forever last. Then home again, where I belong, but in my heart, Norumbega's song. And when the last word was croaked, the frog disappeared.